Welcome to Salamone, the podcast. With me, Michael Salamone. This week,
it's month end, so it's time to talk about the things I learned. Things I learned in November. 2015, that is. It's a bunch of micro rants tied together. I'm
Michael Salamone. This is my show. Yep.
Welcome to Salamone. I'm Michael Salamone. This is the Salas Show. And it's time for our monthly bonus episode where I really just tie together a bunch of things that I thought of or said throughout the month. But let's just get started with things I learned in November. I suppose that Black Friday really is good for the economy because so many Americans had to hire someone to help them weed through all the damn marketing emails they got that day this year. I kept track. I deleted over 400 marketing emails on Black Friday. It's just ridiculous. Don't harass me. I participate in Buy Nothing Day anyhow. I have for 14 years. I wish I believed in anything as much as Vin Diesel believes in his Chronicles of Riddick franchise. Donald Trump called GOP voters stupid in 1998. Hillary Clinton called Democratic voters stupid in 2005, and these are our frontrunners for 2016. I say we all vote for someone who actually wants to serve their base. What do you say? A UK newspaper was in the center of controversy after running the headline, 1 in 5 Muslims, which I can only assume ended with, don't recommend chewing Trident between meals. Trump basically had a Black Lives Matter protester lynched and then mocked for a reporter's physical disabilities, all while talking about rounding up Mexicans and tagging and registering Muslim Americans. But don't worry, when he's president, they will be the biggest, glitziest, most luxurious, most beautiful gas chambers the world has ever seen. I'm still yet to see a presidential candidate slurping between speeches from a reusable water bottle. I'm becoming suspicious of the influence big plastic has on American politics. Every time a Hillary supporter picks a fight with me, all I hear is, Hail Hydra! I fear that I'll never have a bromance as deep, meaningful, and timeless as the one that Jesse Jackson and Bernie Sanders share. After the holidays, I think I'll take up juicing. That is, I'll start each day with a Bloody Mary. A virgin, of course, if you can believe them. I think that meme going around that says, I learned that people can easily forget that others are human, that sums it up pretty well for me. Instead of making tiger blood jokes about Charlie Sheen, go get yourself tested. You should test every 3 to 6 months when you're sexually active. Using Neosporin as a lubricant doesn't protect against STDs. I will never be too old to stop coloring outside the lines, wishing for snow days, wanting ice cream for dinner, or doing a happy dance when I'm excited. But I'll never again be so young that I can trust easily without fear of abandonment. I'm not afraid of refugees, but after the last month, I am certainly more afraid of my fellow Americans. I give it about a year before the Minneapolis or Chicago protests are a model for nationwide dissent on issues of race, equality, and so much more. My only commentary on Jared Fogle and Subway is that 15 years is too short a sentence. Sexual exploitation of children should be life without parole. Hillary Clinton exclaimed 9/11 to avoid talking about her ties to Wall Street during the Democratic debate, and then again later in the week to show her true colors as a war hawk anti-progressive. We are at war, though. The tolerant must rise up at war against the fundamentalist bigots and deathmongers, as fascism should no longer have a seat at our government's leadership. And I think that speaks to the Planned Parenthood shooting in Colorado Springs as well. The shooter uttered phrases that GOP candidates in the Republican debate said, that talking heads on Fox News said. Words matter. Speech matters. And when fundamentalists, be it ISIS or be it the Republicans, use hate speech to fire up their supporters, they push them into terrorism. It's all rooted in fundamentalism. This is an actual line I used in an argument this month. Hey, the Bible only gets all lovey-dovey when the long hair turns 30. Well over 1,000 unarmed people have been murdered by police so far this year, but I haven't been able to find the filter for my Facebook profile picture to support those victims. When I was looking at this poll that says 80% of Hispanics don't approve of Trump, what I read is that 20% of Hispanics might hate themselves. I support Bernie Sanders because after 25 years of trickle-down economics leading to an economic drought, it's time to make it rain, bitches. I'm tired of pretending it's all right when it's all a giant shit show that nobody had the forethought to bring a big thing of wet wipes to. Even watching the WKRP turkey drop clip didn't cheer me up this holiday season. I, like so many, really need to witness or experience something truly and authentically good and kind as soon as possible. I tried twice to do that word cloud thing that's going around Facebook, and it came back blank both times. Apparently I should just shut up, but that wouldn't be true to my nature. Now, if you excuse me, this loudmouth would like to go binge watch a bunch of Marvel's Jessica Jones and fantasize for just a little while that fascism and tyranny are just comic book properties, not real life. I was more offended by how many of the red cup Starbucks cups I've seen littered in the streets than anything else on that topic. But I like jokes, so I'll pick a scab. As a carpenter and a bohemian, Christ wouldn't have been getting caffeine at Starbucks anyhow. He'd shop mom and pop. Jesus, Mary, and Joseph. Mom and pop. If we ever get universal health care in this country, I propose that new romances should all come with an automatic Xanax prescription for both parties. I think these GOP candidates say the outrageous lies they say mostly to filter campaign money to big fact-checking. Go, fact-checkers, get that money. Between commercial breaks of the GOP debate, Donald Trump and Ben Carson each advocated lowering the minimum wage. Lowering the minimum wage. Next debate, they'll endorse sending our children to work in mines and factories. See, when they say they're taking America back, they mean back before the Great Depression and the workers' rights movement that pulled us out of the Depression and built a middle class. The GOP's not just at war against women. They're not just at war against Muslims. They're at war against the poor. And since over 50% of Americans didn't even make $30,000 last year, half of America is poor. The Republicans are at war against more than half of America. I bet Cosmopolitan magazine editors would make for fine campaign managers. Speaking of dubious, Donald Trump keeps doubling down on his wall. Fun fact, Donald Trump first bought Pink Floyd's The Wall in 1992 on CD at a music store called The Wall in a New Jersey mall. However, he's never listened to it all. Not for nothing, but the GOP debate was the most on-air conversation about the TPP that has been allowed on any network so far. I was pretty disappointed that the GOP debate used such a dinky-sounding bell when candidates went over their time instead of a shotgun. Come on, this is the Republicans. Use a shotgun. Why am I such a news junkie? All it does is make me sad and remind me that the press is short for the oppression. It's not the holidays until crippling depression sets in. I try to keep it in repression, but my nature is to embrace expression. One of my best and worst traits is that I'll always choose the dream over the reality, a bit of an idealist. It works every time, except for when important things are at stake. One of you should just buy me a tour bus so I can drive around the country writing shitty songs and making podcasts. By the way, this podcast is consistently getting at least a few thousand listens every week now, so if you made that happen, I want to thank you, and thank you for that tour bus in advance. So I installed the new YouTube Music app to see if it had my music, which it did, but I still don't understand why it asks for my microphone and camera permissions if there's no karaoke. Bloomingdale's has apparently hired Bill Cosby to write their ad copy. And there were lots of humans treating other humans as subpar in the news this month. Too many to sum up here. They're stupid bullies. Kudos to everyone who stood up to a bully this month. Let's all try to stand up to bullies more. And if you are a bully, cut that shit out. We're all in this together, and we're only as strong as our weakest link. That means the assholes and the apathetic are bringing us all down. One other major thing that I learned is that white women sure love Missy Elliott. I get it, though. We all have those oddball favorites that make us boogie. I get it. I mean, I was in a bad mood at one point this month, and someone who knows me really well made me listen to Eric B. and Rakim's Paid in Full because they know it makes me really happy, and I was dancing like within 13 seconds. May we all go from zero to dancing within 13 seconds at some point in this next month and every month beyond. At least tap your toes a little bit. It's good for circulation and the soul. I learned that I can still be amazed. I learned that I can still be shattered. I learned that Boy George may have slept with Prince, and that made me miss how a good many of my friends and I used to dance at a Snugs 80s night together in the 90s. Man, we did being young right. I'm still trying to figure out how to grow old right, but I think I see it now, and I'm pretty sure that there's more dancing involved. Halloween and Easter are for sugar, St. Patty's Day is for alcohol, and April 20th is for marijuana. When will Xanax get a holiday? I mean, besides for help dealing with Christmas. Bernie Sanders introduced legislation to decriminalize marijuana federally, allowing for protections when states legalize medical and recreational use of pot. If we don't call this the Willie Nelson Act, America loses. I wanted to read a scary story for Halloween, so I read about how Secretary of State Hillary Clinton gave arms deals to shady countries who were also top Clinton Foundation donors. Of course, if you don't know, the Clinton Foundation is a charity which donates at least about 8% of the money that's raised to charity. The other 92% goes to the Clintons and their staff. I'm generally fearful of how Clinton claims discussing her record is sexist, and now the Republicans are changing debate sponsors over tough questions. If truth is off limits, we may as well give up to our corporate overlords now. The Republicans statistically answered and mostly lies at their last debate. Clinton lied about her record in her last debate. By calling truth-telling sexist and paying her supporters to do so online, she is hurting progress on real gender equality issues. Malala Yousafzai nailed it. She said, "I am a feminist, and we should all be feminists because feminism is another word for equality." I know we just turned the clocks backwards, but can't we move America forwards? Consistency on the issues matters. Passion for serving and helping others matters. Believing we're all in this together matters. Empathy continues to be my favorite trait in people. I read this month that it was the 25th anniversary of Jesse Spanos' caffeine pill meltdown on the TV show Saved by the Bell. That really puts your Red Bull use in perspective, doesn't it? When Halloween falls on a weekend like it did this year, I like to wake up early each day to watch the parades. The parades of slutty costumes doing walks of shame. I'm confident enough in my sexuality, though, to handle Twitter switching from stars to hearts. Speaking of Twitter, I was disappointed this month to see at one point Christie and Huckabee was trending, and it wasn't about them coming out as a gay couple. I always assume when people are vehemently homophobic, it's because they're deeply closeted. With that, dear listener, I say, please be good to one another, and cheers.
Salamone is a podcast taped live in front of a streaming internet audience. And archives can be found on iTunes, Stitcher, anywhere podcasts are found, and on michaelsalamone.com. Subscribe.